Last season, the Suns shocked everyone going 8-0 in the bubble. In those 8 games, Devin Booker looked like an absolute superstar, and the whole team looked really together. They played unselfishly, the guys on the bench were getting hyped, and overall, this team was playing winning basketball. After that 8-game winning streak that they had, the expectations for Phoenix were now much higher. Devin Booker had yet to make the playoffs in his career, but after seeing what this young Suns team was capable of, the playoffs were now the standard for them. If anyone had any doubts about the Suns making the playoffs next year, they really silenced those doubters by trading for Chris Paul. As much as I love Shea and everyone else that was on that OKC team last year, this Phoenix team is a lot better than that OKC team, and the Thunder were a 5th seed last season. This team could be really competitive in the West, and they've quickly become one of the most exciting teams in the entire league. This season, I expect the Suns lineup to be Chris Paul at the 1, Devin Booker at the 2, Mikal Bridges at the 3, and Cam Johnson at the 4, and then DeAndre Ayton at the 5. And then off the bench, I think they're gonna be giving Cam Payne some minutes this year. He was really good in the bubble, as well as Javon Carter. They picked up Jay Crowder, brought back Dario Saric, and obviously drafted the rookie Jalen Smith. Clearly the big addition here was Chris Paul. CP3 had a comeback season last year, and he showed everyone that he's still one of the best point guards in the league. He's a great perimeter defender, but where he's really going to help Phoenix out is on the offensive end. Devin Booker said that Ricky Rubio really helped him develop last year, and this is because Rubio took a lot of pressure off of Booker. Last season, Rubio assisted on 18% of Booker's buckets, and overall, Rubio made life easier on him because Booker didn't have to create everything on offense like he had to in previous years on Phoenix. Chris Paul is going to help out Booker in these same ways, but just at a higher level. I'm expecting dbook to have the most efficient and well-rounded season of his career playing with CP3 because he's going to take even more pressure off of him this year. We all know that Devin Booker is one of the most lethal scorers in the game, and he's only going to improve this season. People forget that Booker is only 24, in large part because of the fact that his game is so advanced beyond his years. He doesn't look like a 24-year-old player. He looks like a guy that's very experienced, that's in the prime of his career. He has a great handle. He can score from anywhere on the floor, and he does it pretty effortlessly, and he always looks so under control whenever he plays. On top of his scoring ability, Booker has steadily improved as a passer throughout his career, averaging 6 assists per game over the past 2 seasons. We all know how good Booker is on offense, but I think we're going to see him really improve as a defender this year. The reason why Phoenix was so interested in trading for Chris Paul was because Paul has shown that he is a culture changer. CP3 made the Clippers good, he nearly helped take the Rockets to the finals, and he was the main catalyst in OKC's surprise season last year. One of the ways that Paul has changed team cultures is through the effort he gives on defense. Even at age 35, Paul is still a very, very tough defender, and I think the young guys on this team, including Booker, will feed off the effort he gives on that end. Devin Booker has not been a part of winning basketball thus far in his career, and CP3 will teach Booker and all the other young guys on this team how to win, and part of winning includes giving effort on defense. Another way that Chris Paul will help this team is through his scoring ability. Paul is much more of a threat to score than Rubio, meaning he'll be able to collapse the defense more effectively and kick out to guys like Booker, Bridges, Cam Johnson, Crowder, Saric, or any other shooters that they have on this team. While Paul is definitely going to help out the perimeter players on this team, I think he's going to help out their bigs the most. In this year's draft, the Suns picked Jalen Smith 10th overall. Smith needs to improve as a post-up player, but he should be great in the pick and roll with Chris Paul. He'll need to put on some more weight before he can consistently be a great roller to the rim, but CP3 is just so good at manipulating the defense, and I'm sure he's going to put Smith in a lot of positions where he'll just have wide open layups or dunks that he has to finish. Where Smith will be most effective early on is as a stretch 5. In his last season at Maryland, Smith shot 36.8% from 3. On top of that, he has the ability to put the ball on the floor and attack off closeouts a little bit, so he should be great in the pick and pop with CP3 as well. Then there's DeAndre Ayton. Ayton is easily the most skilled center that Paul has ever played with in his career. He's got great footwork, he can play in the pick and roll, he can score in the mid-range, he can run the floor, catch lobs, he makes his free throws, and he's become a good defender as well. He's displayed such a great offensive skill set since coming into the league that many people have been upset that Ayton hasn't been used as much in the offense as he has been thus far, and that he hasn't been getting more shots than he has. But with Chris Paul, I expect Ayton to not only get more shots than he ever has, but more efficient shots too. For his career, Ayton has shot 57% from the field on 13 attempts per game. This season, I expect him to shoot over 60% from the field on about 16 to 17 attempts per game. Deandre Ayton will easily be a 20 and 10 guy this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up making his first All-Star game. Besides the big three of Paul, Booker, and Ayton, the rest of the roster is filled with guys that fit perfectly around those three. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and Javon Carter are all good 3-and-D players who will play their role perfectly on this team. Dario Saric is a skilled 4 that can pass and stretch the floor. Cam Payne played really well in the bubble, and I already mentioned the impact that the rookie Jalen Smith could have. The Suns also have guys like E'Twaun Moore, Langston Galloway, and Abdel Nader who could step in and provide good minutes if the team is ever dealing with injuries. This might be considered a bold prediction, but assuming Chris Paul is healthy this season, I have the Suns going 46-26 and finishing 3rd in the West. I really like this team, and I think they have the perfect combination of players, and on top of that, the young guys on this team are hungry and they want to win, especially Devin Booker. Because of that, these young guys are going to be humble and they're going to really look up to CP3 as the leader of this team. For a while, Chris Paul used to have a bad reputation in the league. People believed that he couldn't get along well with teammates and that he was ultimately the problem with the Clippers and the Rockets too. Well, I'm not going to act like he was completely innocent in those situations. What happened with the Clippers and Rockets shows that when egos and personalities clash, it can really affect a team. In LA, Chris Paul's style of leadership wasn't liked by everyone, but the team's chemistry issues were deeper than that. In Houston, there was James Harden. At this point, I don't know who Harden would be happy playing with. Harden is just a perfect example of a guy that has a superstar ego and a guy that wants to control everything. On the court, he seems disinterested when he doesn't have the ball, and we've seen how he's handled his trade request off the court going into this season. Chris Paul is clearly a no-nonsense type of guy who holds his teammates accountable, and Harden didn't like that. But when Chris Paul was in OKC and there weren't any players on that team that had a superstar ego like Harden did, he was able to lead the way he wanted to, and his teammates embraced him as the leader of that team. While this Phoenix team might have more talent than that OKC team, their young guys are equally as humble since they haven't accomplished anything as a team. And like I said, they too will look at CP3 as their leader. A lot of people thought that the Chris Paul trade was only good for the short term, but this Suns team can be good for quite a while. Last season, Chris Paul showed us that his game transcends age. What makes Chris Paul such a great player is his skill and his IQ. CP3 doesn't rely on extreme explosiveness or athleticism, so I could see him playing at this level, at this all-star level for 2 to 3 more years, and then maybe, another 2 years or so where he's still like a good player. If Chris Paul continues to play at an all-star level and the young guys on this team keep improving, Phoenix could realistically come out of the West in the next few years. Outside of the Lakers and the Clippers, all the other teams in the West are on a similar level. If LeBron ever declines at some point and the Clippers can't figure out their chemistry issues, the Suns could emerge as the team to beat out West. While I do have high expectations for Phoenix, the depth of the West has to be taken into consideration. You'll see the rest of my predictions in upcoming videos, but you'll see just how close the playoff race was in the West, in my opinion. I was really considering putting the Suns anywhere between 3rd and 7th, which is just crazy to think about. It just goes to show how deep the West really is. Hopefully the Suns can live up to their potential this year. I think there are a lot of NBA fans that really want to see Chris Paul win a ring, and I definitely know that there are a lot of people that just want to see Devin Booker play on a winning team. But yeah, I've got the Suns finishing 3rd. I'd love to see them make some noise in the playoffs too.